Ancient history is studded with endless tales of enormous battles featuring soldiers in the tens of thousands. At the Battle of Philippi in 42 BC, around 40,000 Romans were slain. The aftermath of all this carnage must have been beyond belief to witness. The Roman historian Plutarch writes, "The plain was covered with dead bodies and flooded with blood, and the heap of the slain over a large part of the ground made it impossible to march through them. Such as were inclined to pity or humanity could not endure the wretchedness of the scene before their eyes, but groaned over their fallen friends and acquaintances, and wept with grief for their lot." Likewise, at the Battle of Carrhae, after Rome lost to the Parthian Empire, some 50,000 soldiers were lost. As a punishment for their invasion, the Parthians blinded the survivors by pressing red-hot iron into their eyes. All men lost their sight in this way, all but a single soldier, who was burned just in one eye and was given the task of marching his now blind comrades all the way back home. We don't know what happened to the corpses of the 50,000 dead at Carrhae, and Plutarch doesn't tell us what happened to the masses of corpses which flooded the ground in blood at Philippi. Which kind of begs the question, what happened to all the bodies? And how did ancient civilizations clean up the carnage after these enormous battles? If we look back at the ancient Greeks, we find some passing details, but we don't have perfect records of what happened, since the process wasn't particularly formalised just yet, with the dead typically being collected and buried in a mass grave called a tumulus, which is exactly what happened after the Battle of Marathon in 490 BC. Of course, people who were exceptionally wealthy or noteworthy would have been buried individually, but for the common soldier, they would have been added to these communal burial mounds. If the battle took place inside or near a city, there would be an effort to move all the bodies away from the city and its fields, so as not to disrupt life locally. But, to be honest, that's really all we know, and the little details we have vary from city to city, so we can't really describe the process with any authority for ancient Greece. If we move a little bit forward in time though, into the Roman era, we can see that the process for post-battle cleanup was strictly formalised and well recorded. Of course, there would have been a major effort to try and find the wounded and bring them back to be treated. The Romans even had specialised units called the Medici, whose sole job was to locate and treat the wounded, which makes perfect sense. It's great for the morale of the troops, who know that if they fall, they will be taken care of, and it saves the Roman administration some money, since repairing injuries is much cheaper than recruiting and training new soldiers. Soldiers who could not make a full recovery but would still survive could also be entitled to a kind of disability payment, but this depended largely on the time and place, since Rome didn't always have the means to pay out these expensive grants. Although, of course, injured comrades are an expected feature of the land after a major battle, it was not the only thing that people were on the lookout for. Roman soldiers also had a responsibility to go out and gather the dead. This is because the entire process was actually funded by the soldiers themselves. Roman soldiers would pay a stipend towards their funeral procedures, which would come directly out of their wages. This was called the venus militaris, or in English, the funeral club fee. The stipend was completely optional, but since what happened to your body after you died was a serious religious matter, abstention from this payment was remarkably rare. After large battles, the Roman war machine would use the funds from the funeral stipend to go out and collect all of the dead before bringing them back to be identified and buried, either in mass graves with a collective marking or individually if the number of dead was small, or if the Romans had enough time to go through the dead one by one. As usual, aristocrats or notable soldiers would typically always receive an individual burial or even be taken back to Rome in order to have a funeral there. In fact, in the aftermath of the Battle of Actium, the victorious Augustus Caesar was approached by a Roman nobleman who was to be put to death for defying him. The nobleman begged that after his execution he could have his body sent to Rome so his family could mourn him and hold a funeral. Caesar responded, "The birds will see to your funeral." This callous refusal to honour even the most basic expectations of respect for the dead would have been unthinkably disrespectful at the time, and was one of the many public exchanges that began to make Augustus Caesar very unpopular with his people, at least in his early reign. But for the average battle, gathering the dead wasn't just about honouring the fallen, it was also an important chance for Rome to get back all of its equipment. Since the majority of gear, like swords and armour, would have been issued to the soldiers by the Roman state, once they had fallen, Rome would need all those toys back to equip the next generation of soldiers who would replace the fallen. For this reason, most archaeologists found themselves stumped when trying to excavate famous battle sites, finding no swords, shields, armour or helmets that would typically indicate a battlefield. The most common indicator of a battle of this era became simple arrowheads, which were hard to find during the immediate cleanup and also weren't particularly valuable, so not worth the time to collect them. Speaking of valuables, the Romans didn't just go around the battlefield looking for soldiers of their own, but also of their enemy. Of course, the fallen dead would be stripped of all their valuables, but the Roman soldiers had a responsibility to deliver all of this loot back to the camp, where they would be collected and then divided equally among the soldiers, with the senior staff taking the lion's share of the profits in order to be shipped back to fill the Roman coffers. But objects were not the only valuables to be found strewn across the battlefield. The Romans would also go searching for the injured among the enemy. Those who were wounded beyond a chance of recovery would have been finished off on the spot, but those with minor or recoverable injuries would have been taken back behind the Roman line where they could be nursed back to health, typically so that they could be sold into slavery, although they could sometimes be used as a bargaining chip for future diplomatic efforts. In any case, the motivation to give these fallen adversaries medical care was far from compassionate. But the Romans wouldn't have had just the dead and wounded to contend with. There would also be scavengers working quickly to pick the battlefield clean of valuables. This became a particularly difficult problem to deal with whenever a battle was messy, since the Romans would have had their hands tied just dealing with their own wounded. Scavengers would often follow armies around and just wait for battles to start, so that they could swoop down and take whatever they could find. The most common valuables to steal would have been jewellery, since they were small and easy to steal away. Rings were especially popular. Due to the swelling of corpses and rigor mortis, scavengers would often have to bring pliers to work, so that they could amputate the swollen fingers of their victims, stuff the finger in their pocket, and remove the ring at a later time. They'd have to move quickly, since the Romans would punish any scavengers they found. I will leave it to your imagination when it comes to how they got the gold out of people's teeth. However, once the dead had been buried, the equipment squared away, the wounded had been cared for, and the battlefield had been looted, there wouldn't have been much to show of a battle apart from the blood and other bodily fluids that littered the ground. And that's what happened after ancient battles, most of the time. You like that, did you? You're still here, so I'm guessing you did. And if that's true, click one of these videos here to watch more. It's the best way you can support our channel and help me. In the meantime, thanks for watching, it really helps.